Hi guys, so I'm gonna do a bit of watercolouring today with some pencils. I'm going to use my Derwent Inktense pencils, which are very highly pigmented pencils, so you don't need a lot of it. You don't need to put intense colour down to get quite a good coverage of colour. I'm going to be using poppy red and apple green. I've got some paint brushes. I've got a number 1 and a number 6. If that means anything to anybody. They're just to do with the different size brush head that you've got. So that's that. You use what you have. I've got tape. I've got a base card. This is our thick Whisper White cardstock, and it just measures 11 by 4 1/4 and folded in half at 5 1/2. And because in my previous video I think I mentioned a piece that I'd used as it was an offcut, and basically because we've got A4 cardstock, to get that to 11 inches, this is the piece that was cut off here. So I first cut my A4 to 4 1/4, and then I cut it at 11 inches, and this gave me this piece. Now I am going to use this piece, so don't throw anything away. And let's see what else. I've got a piece of watercolour cardstock. You can try different cardstocks. You can try our thick Whisper White. You can try a regular Whisper White. You do get a lot of good stamping out of those two cardstocks, but because we're going to use water with it, I thought I'll just use a piece of watercolour cardstock. We do actually have watercolour cardstock in our annual catalogue, but this piece happens to be a Tim Holtz piece of watercolour cardstock, and there are two. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this on camera, but there are two sides to it. There's the front, which is the textured part. We're actually going to use the smooth part. Actually, maybe the textured side will actually look kind of cool with what I'm going to do, so maybe I'll change that. I've got some Jet Black Archival Ink. Again, we've got this in the catalogue as well. And then I'm using 3 stamps from our Fresh Fruit stamp set. I don't know if you can see that. I'm trying new lighting today, so apologies if there's a bit of glare. But I'm using the strawberry, and I'm just using the outline pieces, and then the Happy Birthday, that's what I decided to go with. I have a pot of water and just a bit of paper towel for blotting, because you don't want too much water on your card. So let's get that out of the way. So for now I'm just going to do my stamping. In fact, I'll do all my stamping including this. So I'm going to start with that funny little piece that I had left over, and I'm just going to use the Happy Birthday stamp, and I'm just going to simply stamp it. I haven't decided where I'm going to stamp it. I'll stick it in the middle ish. Ta-da! And I just eyeball stuff like this. I don't do anything fancy. Right, so now I've got my strawberry on here. Needs to go that way, helps put it the right way up. And I've also got the little leaf bit that will go on the top with the stalk. So I'm going to start with the base of the strawberry, and I think it would probably look kind of cool what's the word, on the textured side, so I decided to go with that. And I'm just creating my own background again, like I did in yesterday's video. And I'm not going to worry if things overlap. I'm not going to let it bother me. I don't know which way I want this one. That'll do. Have that guy going off. So that's that. And then I'm just going to take the top piece, sorry, And I'm just gonna, again, doesn't have to be perfect, just somewhat line it up. Oh, somewhere above the strawberry. And this stamp set's got some neat things. Just checking whether there's any other bit. And that probably won't even. Will that show that bit? A weeny bit. There's some neat things on this stamp set. And that one won't. Okay. Clean those up in a minute. So that's the stamping done. Let me just show you the stamp set. So in the stamp set there are a number of stamps. So this is the outline we've used, and that's the outline for the top of the strawberry that we've used. Did I put them upside down? No, I didn't. But you see these sort of blotchy or whole pieces. Those you can use in a different colour and stamp it in there, and it saves you colouring it in. And the idea is that it looks like it's watercoloured. It's not supposed to look like, you know, perfectly coloured piece of art. And there are a couple of flowers. I used this on a make and take for, not a make and take, yeah, I guess it kind of like a make and take at one of my training sessions. And basically you can either use the piece on its own like we're going to today, you can use this bit on its own, so like the coloured in bit, or you can use the combination of the two, and so you'll have 3 different looks that you can get from just one, you know, from the stamp set. It's a cool stamp set. I really like it. I'm enjoying it. So because this is archival, we just needed to give it, you know, a couple of seconds to dry, just because otherwise it will smudge, but that's done. So I'm going to start out now. These, like I say, are very, very pigmented, so you won't need a lot of colour, trust me. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start at the top of the strawberry and sort of graduate it down the strawberry, if that makes any sense. So I'm just going to add a bit of colour, and you'll see it'll look weird. It's just going to be this random bit of colour, like this, and I might come down. Let's go down that side. Hopefully this will work the way I'm planning it to work. But remember, you can always add colour. You can't take colour away. Once you've added on, you know, enough colour, or you know, it's hard to take it off. So just be aware of that. We can always go back afterwards and do that. And you're probably looking and going, okay, well, there's not a lot going on there, is there? No, there isn't, but you'll see. And I like to go in kind of a circular motion with not a super sharp, like the tip of the pencil's not that sharp. It's sort of a blunter sort of thing, so you don't get lines like that. That's what I was trying to avoid. Let's put a bit more here, so a little bit more colour. That'll do. So that's the red. This is the apple green. I'm just going to barely touch. I can't even see that. On the leaves, again, I'm just going to, I think with this I might start, I'm just playing now, just add in a bit of colour here and there, nothing major. Ooh. And not massively dark either. You don't need to have it super dark. This is the neat thing about these pencils, is that they're not you know, they're not mega, don't need them to be mega dark. Right, I'm gonna do the green bit first. So I'm gonna use the smallest what's this thing called? Paintbrush. Let's just see. Do you see? See what I mean about the colour? There's tons of it. Isn't that cool? I know the stalk's not normally, oh, it is green, isn't it? Cool, huh? Move this colour around. Hope you can see what I'm doing. Not too fussed about how I'm doing this, because again, this is just a quick background. Just to get some colour. Oh, the little guy in the corner, forgot about him. This guy. The nice thing is it blends really well, but it also, you're not left with these sort of harsh lines, which for me drive me mad. Which is why I usually, when I watercolour, I don't always use pencils. I tend to use ink that I will put down onto like a heat proof or a non-stick mat. You can use a white tile or your acrylic block. A white tile just means you can see the colour a lot better, but also that way, for me, it means I don't get any I won't get any lines from the pencils. That's another reason for going in circular motion and also using a more blunt tip, so you land up with a better coverage. But you know, it depends what you like. It might, you know, they might work for you. Look at this. Oh, there's a hair on here. And I'm not the best at doing this stuff. I'll just play. That's the best advice I can give you guys. Just have a little play with. And when you've got watercolor paper, it's better. The whole point of watercolor paper is that it can handle the moisture from your paintbrush and the water that you've got on it. So don't be afraid of that. If you're using a regular cardstock, maybe go a little more gentle with the water side of things. But if you're using watercolor paper, you should be, and a good quality one as well, you should be okay. Isn't it cool? Just getting that colour on, mixing it in. Like I say, I'm just basically colouring it in. I'm not actually doing anything major. No real shading or anything like that. But the texture of the card will also help to move, give it sort of that strawberry-like look. Does that make any sense? If you wanted a smoother look, you could easily do this on the other side. Like I say, this cardstock actually has like a smoother side and then the more textured side, so this being the textured side, obviously. Just try and move that about. And if you look at it, like that, and you go, that's not what I want, and you want to pick some of the colour up like I just did, you can do that. Now the other thing you can do, if you go out the line like I did, you can just wet that area and you can lift some of that colour off. You won't be able to lift all of it, but you'll be able to lift some of it. So and I'm not an artist, so forgive the way that I paint. This is why I prefer using the using an actual what's the word I'm looking for? like using it on a straight, not straight from the ink pad, but putting the ink pad onto like a piece of white tile, or like a non-stick mat sort of thing, and then I can just pick the colour up from there rather than this sort of thing. I think for me the other way of doing it, it just gives me more control, whereas this, you do have control over this, but it depends whether you're okay with there being sort of lines, or you know, being textured cardstock, it's going to pick up the edges of the cardstock are going to pick up the pencil more than the sort of flat edges, if that makes sense. So nearly there. And you see, it doesn't take long, and I'm waffling. You know, that's how I roll. Waffle, waffle, waffle. Right, so that one that I took some colour off of, I'm just going to add some more. So this is where, and because this is where you just have to be very careful, I'm just going to put a little bit along this edge. So I can try and pick up that colour again. Just because it needed a bit more, I thought. So I took most of it off. I didn't mean to take all of it off, but just so he's a bit more red. And this guy needs a bit more as well, I think. So you can always add more. You can't take it off. Just remember that. That's better. Now, so that's all done. Cleaning me, and I love watercolour. Watercolour for me is the best. The best, the best, the best. Right, so I'm just thinking maybe I need something else in between. Maybe. Oh, I've got a splodge on there. Improvising now. Let's see, what other stamp set have we got here? Stamp sets, other stamp that we got. Got those little dots. Maybe I'll just do dots. These cute little dotty dots in the stamp set as well. Let's just see, maybe I'll use those. Just stick them on the back of this one. This is what happens when you're me and you can't leave well alone. Right, so I've added these two little stamps. Yes, I've got them both on there at the same time. I'm just going to, oh, yeah, that'll work. And I'm just going to add them. Sorry guys, my camera keeps dying on me. Right, so all I did was I turned over, I didn't like the way it looked and also it smudged it there. I've turned it over and I've made a little V in the piece of card so that it looks a bit like a little flag. If you don't know how to do that, all you have to do is cut a little way into the card, and then from the corner, so this edge here, cut up to that centre piece where you've cut, and then do the same on the other side, and you've got your own little flag doobry. Now this looked a bit long, so I'm just going to cut this a bit shorter, eyeball it. Yeah, like I say, I'm going to keep this really, really simple, no fuss, except that I put a million tons of adhesive on it. I'm just going to stick it down here, hopefully straight-ish. crash. And there you go. One very simple watercoloured card. So there you go. Have a good day, guys. See you later. Bye.